Well, hello there and welcome. I'm sure you clicked on this video because you also want to understand the anatomy of a female orgasm. On today's show, we're going to be telling you everything you need to know about female orgasms, and hopefully we'll answer some of your questions as well on the show today. So today I'm not alone. I'm here with Lily Harmon. She's a advanced practice nurse practitioner, and we host her on the show ever so often. And whenever she comes, it's all, just great stuff happening. So Lily, so good to see you.
Whenever I come?
Yeah, whenever you come. It's always great stuff, We have fun on the show, that's for sure. So you should come more often. I'm just saying.
I come all the time.
But, you come all the time. Good. So you're the best person to actually talk about today's topic, right? The anatomy of a female orgasm. Let's get into the science of it. So what happens when a woman orgasms?
So when a woman is going through that sensation, what she is feeling is this intense feeling that at that point is completely out of her control, and the body is having these rhythmic spasms and muscle contractions, either within the vaginal canal or in that your peri area. It is a climax of multiple sensations that it's like a journey that you've traveled, climbing the hill, getting there, and you get to that peak and your body hits that uncontrolled, because you're not controlling it, so it's involuntary spasms and muscle contractions within the vaginal canal and in that your pelvic area.
Right. Okay. And is it true that not every woman will experience an orgasm in her lifetime?
Yes, it is true.
Oh. Why is that? How come some women can orgasm so quickly and others just don't?
Why am I taller than you?
You're not taller than me.
Okay, but my point is...
I'm not 5'2".
Excuse me. My point is we are not all the same.
Right.
If we were, my job would be so boring, but we are not all the same. There are some women who will never get to that place of an actual orgasm. However, there are ways to still get pleasure from any encounter, really. Okay. Any consensual encounter, right, in that vein, yeah.
Okay, I like that you mentioned that. So are there different types of orgasms we should know about, men should know about?
There are. Are you asking, can a woman have an orgasm depending on what you're doing to her?
Pretty much. I mean, for instance, I've heard, I like to say that, I've heard a little bird tells me that there are, for instance, maybe should I say 3 generally. So like the clitoral, the vaginal orgasm, and of course orgasms that women experience when you stimulate their erogenous zones.
I would agree with that, and go further to say there's innumerable. There are some women who are multi-orgasmic, like they can come and come and come, and it might. Don't you just?
Yeah.
It's like, ugh,
I don't know how they
have
do
everything,
but yeah.
But there are those women, and so are we all like that? No, obviously. Different types. So clitoral manipulation, that will culminate in the physiologic sameness, as will vaginal penetration. That will also give you that same physiologic, the spasms, all of that. There's people who are like nipples, for instance, are very sensitive. People can get there. I've seen people actually get there. Not everyone can, just by nipple stimulation alone. And different parts of people's bodies are sensitive in different ways. So, it's your journey. Make it exciting. Find out where else she's sensitive. And there are men who tend to just like, ooh, I found the spot. I'm just going to keep rubbing it. It's like, dude, stop. Stop. Okay?
Don't do that.
Too much is just annoying. So, a little bit here, a little bit there. Listen to her. It is her body. Okay, like, baby, too much pressure, baby, a little more pressure. Listen to her, and together you'll have a beautiful journey. But those orgasms they're varied.
I mean, from what I gather, or, some women who I've talked to talk about the fact that vaginal orgasms are usually more intense, more powerful. What's your take on that?
To them, yeah. There is that. By vaginal orgasms, does it mean that anything that they're putting in there, whether it's,
I guess,
human or inanimate, is more powerful than when they don't put something in there?
Sensation, yes. As opposed to clitoral, for instance, stimulation.
I would beg to disagree.
Okay.
I would beg to disagree, because an orgasm's an orgasm's an orgasm. Are there some days
Some are
when
more
you're
powerful than others?
There are days when it's like,
Intense.
What the hell was that? And there are days when it's like, okay, I got there. And there are days when it's like, man, I'm just trying to get there and be done with it. And so you'll take whatever. But yeah, there's different levels of intensity. And again, it differs for everyone. Did I tell you about there's the general physiology, the sensation's the same, but there are also women who have rare reactions, like they'll sneeze, or they just sneeze and sneeze and sneeze
When they attain an orgasm? Okay.
And I have women who talk about just the fits of giggles, and they
Laughter.
can't just like giggle like an idiot. Yeah.
So everybody's reaction is different.
It differs.
I remember a girlfriend of mine said once that she was with this guy and he started barking like a dog.
Okay, that's when you get out. You go to a doghouse.
When he reached an orgasm, I was like, "What? And what were you doing?" She was like, "Anyway, that's not a
Trying to
conversation.
get up from
I'm not
under
gonna put.
him.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, what the hell is just? Yeah. So I guess you're right. Like,
Like-
everybody reacts in a different way. Tell me, what role does estrogen play in all this? Like,
So as women age, our estrogen levels drop to where it is no longer doing what it's supposed to do for us. Well, because there's not as much of it. So without estrogen, we tend to be drier down there. As our estrogen levels drop, we start to shrink. The vaginal canal shrinks. We call it vaginal atrophy, which we see in menopausal women, postmenopausal women, and it's a thing that happens. Once you realize that is what has happened, you take steps to remedy it. Some women at that time in their life are more sexually active because it's like they're no longer afraid of getting pregnant or any of that stuff, so we're doing this, and
Right.
they're into it. For those women, they find ways to lubricate and stuff, because without estrogen, you literally dry up and shrivel up within the vaginal canal. So lubrication becomes an issue. Sex can be painful if you don't take the time to get her wet enough for activity.
well, thank God for lubricants.
Yes, lubricants. Water-based lubricants.
Okay.
Always water-based. Oil-based lubricants tend to stick and hold on to yucky things. Water-based goes in, does what it does, and it comes out when, the deposit comes out.
So you mean we shouldn't be using Vaseline?
Don't use Vaseline,
saliva.
please. Don't use saliva. I mean, I know people who do, and people who are into the spit thing, and I guess that's a thing, but just keep in mind that the bacteria that lives in our mouth, there's a lot. So let's go back to the 3 holes in the area, and the 3 holes I'm talking about: the urethra, the vaginal opening, and your anal opening. So if you're going to put your mouth down there, which you can, because sometimes it is very, very pleasurable when it's done right, try to stay within just the playground. Try not to go to the urethra, because you could deposit something there that nobody needs. And if the anal area is your thing also, hang out there, but try not to kind of flick things from the anal region to the playground.
Right.
From the sewer to the playground. Why is the sewer so close to the playground?
Good question.
But if you're gonna, go from anus to the playground, clean the anus well so that you're not transferring fecal matter to the playground. The playground, I like it.
At least for people who do enjoy anal.
Who do that kind of thing, yeah. There are ways to clean out the anal canal so you can use it for pleasure if that is your thing.
Well, how do people do that?
You can, if you call that, you can call it a douche, but there's enemas. You can do an enema to just kind of rinse the area out so you're not moving feces back and forth and then bringing it out and doing other things in the playground. That would be gross. And it can give you an infection too, so.
Right. So before Lily goes any further, to answer more questions, and I have quite a number, for her, let me just say that today's video is sponsored by Joymode. Now, Joymode is a sexual performance booster. It's like pre-workout, but for sex, if you know what I mean. All you need to do is take it 45 minutes to 4 hours before sex and watch everything go uphill from there. No kidding. Better blood flow, stronger erections, you name it. And because you're a sport and you actually watch today's, this channel and today's video, I'm going to give you a 20% discount on your first order. You heard that right. All you need to do is to go to usejoymode.com/JessicaOS. Better yet, use Jessica OS at checkout and you can thank me later. Let's get back to the video. Are there any techniques or positions, would you say, sexual positions that could enhance a woman's orgasm?
So especially if a woman is hard to get to where she needs to get to, spooning is an excellent way to do it, because if the woman's the little spoon and the man's the big spoon, you're back there and you're coming in from behind, you can, along with being in that region and with penetration, you can also do some nipple manipulation, and the sensation from, literally from head to toe can get her there and be quite pleasurable. Or if her sensation is, around her ears or the back of her neck, or like add to it. So the more you can vary a position, the better for more contact.
Right. There are schools of thought that hold that any position that sort of also stimulates the clitoris whilst penetration is happening can be very...
Again, maximizing the pleasure. So if the nipple's a thing, great. If the clitoris is the thing, then you want to come in from an angle that will then give you access to that as you're working in the playground.
Right.
Or if you're doing it from behind, you can always, you've got two hands, you can reach down with one, reach up with the other, and hit it from 3 angles. What?
Score!
What? Did I just say that?
Score!
Mom!
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's talk a little bit about, women who do not orgasm at all, or barely do. What is... things like stress got to do? What kind of role does stress play in it?
Huge. And it's not just for women who can't orgasm, but that's any woman really. When you're stressed out, you're thinking about bills and where the next meal is going to come from and stuff like that. Like, sex is the last thing on your mind. So yeah, that's any woman. And as far as if we're talking about a physiological orgasm, those that can't get to that peak and crest, if we're talking about that, all hope is not lost, because that is not the pinnacle of what you're looking for. You're trying to get to that happy place. I call it the happy zone. You can get a woman to the happy zone and you can stay in that happy zone for as long as you can tolerate it, as well as, crest. But those that can't get over and get the orgasm feeling, you can still get her to the happy zone. I looked away.
That's fine.
Oh. You can still get her to the happy zone, keep her in that happy zone, and you got a happy girl on your hands. So, happy.
Okay, we're almost wrapping up this conversation, but what I want to know is, does medication or, for instance, medical conditions affect a woman's ability to orgasm?
They can, very much so. There are medications, there are certain antidepressants most antidepressants tend to decrease a woman's libido or cause anorgasmia. Anorgasmia is the opposite of an orgasm. It's where the orgasm, it's like you're almost there and just never quite. It can be frustrating. You don't crest that wave, and you're working at it, and you can forget it, because if you're on that it suppresses that ability to orgasm. So certain antidepressants, certain blood pressure medications will do that also. Certain muscle relaxers will do that.
Okay. Final question. So what are men to do when a woman or their woman can't come?
Back to the coming is not everything. Getting her to a happy place, a satisfaction place, is, though, and that can be done. So just because she's not cresting the wave, is what I'm gonna call it now. Just because she's not cresting the wave does not mean all hope is lost. That's far from the truth. You can still give her so much pleasure, and for a much longer time if you have that kind of time on your hands, and still have a happy woman. So just because you didn't come didn't mean you didn't go. Go get it.
Quotable quote, let me tweet it. Just because you didn't come doesn't mean you didn't go.
That's right.
I like that. Well, thank you very much for your time.
You're
It's
welcome.
been great. Straightforward, simple conversation. Hopefully we've answered some of your questions, guys. And if you like the video, please smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe as well. It's really important, especially if you want to receive notifications for more of such videos. Then definitely subscribe, and yeah, we'll catch you in another episode, I'm sure.
I'd like that. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. The name is Jessica. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers.